GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action. Live from the GMNA News Center, this is the Lunch Break News Hour.
Good afternoon, Montreal. I'm CJ Waterhouse. Tonight we'll break down CF Montreal's thrilling 2-1 Canadian Championship victory and discuss Quebec's new safety rules for inexperienced truck drivers. Plus, a quick look at the community spotlight on Steve's Music Store. Over to you, Jeff.
Taste of the Caribbean returns to Parc Jean Drapeau this Saturday, featuring over 30 vendors serving traditional dishes like jerk chicken, roti, and plantain chips.
Admission is free for families, while a single entry ticket costs $5. Children under 12 receive complimentary tastings from participating food stalls.
Live reggae performances will fill the park from noon until sunset, with local bands scheduled alongside guest artists arriving from Jamaica and Trinidad earlier this week.
Lots to get to, let's begin, as the community gathers for music, flavors, and family fun at the Taste of the Caribbean this Saturday. Good morning, Montreal.
Mayor Soria Martinez Ferrada will today rule out any reopening or reconstruction of the former Lachine Marina, citing costs that far exceed the city's budgetary capacity. The decision follows months of discussion about turning the waterfront site into a mixed-use development, but municipal officials concluded the financial burden would be irresponsible. The marina, closed for years after safety concerns, had been the focus of community meetings and a feasibility study that warned of escalating expenditures. Ferrada's announcement will emphasize that the city must prioritize essential services and infrastructure projects already in the pipeline. Council members from Lachine were briefed earlier this week, and the mayor said the city will instead focus on upgrading existing parks along the St. Lawrence. While some local businesses hoped for a revitalized promenade, the mayor's stance makes clear that the waterfront will remain inaccessible for the foreseeable future.
Eastbound traffic on Highway 40 will be shut down tonight between the Côte de Lys interchange and Highway 15, remaining closed through the morning of 13th on the west-east artery in Montreal, Quebec. The closure, ordered for maintenance, affects a key commuter corridor that links the west side of the island with downtown and the north-south corridor. Motorists are advised to seek alternate routes such as the Champlain Bridge, the Autoroute 15 corridor, or the REM, and to allow extra travel time. Officials warn that the weekend shutdown is likely to generate significant delays on surrounding arteries, including Autoroute 20 and local streets in the Côte de Lys area. The detour plan will be posted on the provincial transportation website, and updates will be provided as work progresses. Police will monitor the closure points, and traffic officers will be stationed at intersections to assist drivers. Drivers should tune to local traffic bulletins for information.
An Air Canada jet departed the runway while landing at Montreal Trudeau International Airport on July 10. The aircraft, arriving on a routine flight to Canada's busiest airport, veered off the paved surface shortly after touchdown. Emergency crews arrived within minutes, securing the scene and evacuating passengers without reported injuries. The runway was temporarily closed as safety teams inspected the area and cleared debris. Transport Canada and the Transportation Safety Board have opened an investigation into the incident. No damage to the aircraft's critical systems was reported, and investigators will examine weather conditions and runway maintenance records. Air Canada issued a statement confirming that the flight continued to its gate after passengers were safely disembarked. Airport operations resumed later in the day after the runway was cleared and inspected. Officials said they will release further findings as the inquiry progresses.
The province has announced it will keep its electric scooter trial in place for another 2 years, now running through 2028. Health officials warned that the existing rules fail to shield children from serious injuries, urging stricter safeguards. Under the pilot, riders must stay under 25 kilometers per hour and wear helmets. Yet doctors say accidents involving youngsters continue to rise. The extension gives regulators time to tighten speed limits, enforce age restrictions, and improve infrastructure. Critics argue the measures are still too lax, while industry groups point to the program's data-driven approach. The government said it will review findings each year and adjust the framework as needed, aiming to balance mobility benefits with the safety of young users. The trial, which spans key city routes, remains active as officials gather data on crash rates and rider behavior.
Quebec officials announced today that any driver holding an Ontario commercial license will be required to pass a written examination before operating a heavy vehicle in the province. The rule, set to take effect later this year, follows a series of recent collisions involving Ontario-registered trucks on Quebec roads. The province's Transport Ministry said the measure responds to findings from the Ontario Auditor General and concerns raised by trucking industry representatives and a local driving instructor that some drivers lack sufficient training. The requirement applies to trucks over 3.5 tons, and the writ test will be administered by Quebec's Transportation Safety Board. Under the new regulation, drivers must submit proof of a passing score before receiving a Quebec permit to haul freight. The government indicated enforcement will begin after a transition period, and non-compliant drivers could face fines or denial of entry to provincial highways.
Later, we'll explore the artists painting murals under the highway, creating a fresh cultural hub for Montreal. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm glad you're with us. Let's dive into the headlines, then Jeff Laflamme will bring you today's local stories.
New demographic projections released by the Institut de la Statistique du Québec indicate that Montreal's population will shrink by 10% by 2051. The forecast, which looks ahead 25 years, marks a reversal of recent growth trends and arrives at a time when housing demand is still expected to rise. Analysts say the decline stems from a combination of lower birth rates, an aging population, and slower net migration. If the trend holds, the city could see several 100,000 fewer residents, a shift that would affect municipal planning, school enrollments, and the labor market. City services such as transit and waste management may need to adjust capacity to match a smaller tax base. Officials have not yet outlined specific policy responses, but the data underscores a long-term challenge for the region's economic and social infrastructure.
Yesterday, a group of local artists transformed the space beneath the Metropolitan Expressway in St. Mitchell into a vibrant outdoor gallery. The mural project, part of an early pilot to shape a new cultural hub, covered the concrete walls with bold colors and themes that reflect the neighborhood's spirit. Organizers said the work aims to expand the Quartier des Arts du Cirque, turning the under-highway corridor into a permanent cultural district. Residents walking by can now pause to admire the large-scale paintings that celebrate community life, music, and movement. The pilot marks the first step in a longer plan to activate underused infrastructure and draw visitors to St. Mitchell's emerging art scene. City officials hope the initiative will encourage further investment in public art and create a lasting gathering place for families and tourists alike.
City officials announced Thursday they will re-examine the ongoing Berry Street construction, including the proposed cycling lanes. The Martinez-Ferrada administration said a review will assess whether adjustments are needed to the current design, which has already disrupted traffic and sidewalk access along the downtown corridor. Engineers and planners will meet in the coming weeks to evaluate cost, safety, and impact on commuters and local businesses. The review could lead to alterations in lane width, pavement material, or the timing of work phases. Residents who have faced detours and reduced parking are expected to see a revised schedule released later this month. The administration emphasized that the goal is to balance efficient transit flow with safe, accessible routes for cyclists, a priority that has grown in recent years. City Council will vote on any changes before the end of the summer, ensuring that any modifications align with provincial transportation guidelines.
More than 70 households are still living in emergency shelters after the July 1st deadline, and the crisis shows no sign of easing. A recent study by RBC Economic Services reveals that the city's housing affordability index has slipped to its lowest level since 1990, making local rents and mortgage costs the steepest in the nation. The surge in unaffordable housing is pushing families into temporary accommodation, stretching shelter resources that were already stretched thin. For residents watching rent climbs on their own streets, the data underscores how quickly a stable home can become out of reach. City officials say the situation remains ongoing, and they are monitoring shelter capacity while exploring longer-term solutions. As the housing market stays tight, everyday budgeting decisions become more precarious for many households across the region.
CF Montreal confirmed yesterday that defender Luca Petrasso has signed a new deal, extending his stay well beyond next season. The 26-year-old will remain with the club through the conclusion of the 2028-29 season, with an additional option that could keep him on the roster for the 2029-2030 season. The extension follows a period where Petrasso became a regular fixture in the back line, contributing to a defense that has helped the team maintain a solid standing in the league. During the current campaign, he logged more than 30 appearances, accumulating close to 2,000 minutes on the field. Club officials highlighted his consistency and tactical awareness as key reasons for the renewed commitment. Fans can now look forward to seeing the same reliable presence at left back for at least another 2 years, and possibly 3 as the squad prepares for upcoming matches.
Now let's turn to the forecast and see how the afternoon weather will shape our day.
A western jet stream pushes dry, stable air over Montreal, keeping rain at bay and temperatures modest. On this date, Montreal once scorched at 36.1 degrees Celsius in 2020, a spike that rode the tail of a persistent heat dome across the province. The coldest reading came at 12.3 degrees Celsius in 2016, when an Arctic blast slipped south behind a stalled front. By comparison, the July normal hovers around 26 degrees high and 17 low, making today's 26 forecast feel right on the average line. Those extremes remind us how quickly the jet can swing the thermal balance. Scanning the live radar, the screen is completely clear across the southern Quebec corridor. No precipitation echoes are visible, confirming the dry air mass that the western jet has ushered aloft. With high pressure nudging upward and moisture locked out, any lingering clouds dissolve within the next hour. The map stays quiet as we shift focus to today's temperature and wind outlook. At noon, Montreal sits at 24 degrees Celsius under a clear sky, humidity around 60%, and a gentle north breeze gusting to 22 kilometers per hour. The atmosphere is dominated by near-average pressure that is slowly rising. Sealing in the dry, stable layer, the western jet stream is transporting at 75 kilometers per hour. This setup suppresses lift and keeps clouds at bay, allowing temperatures to climb to a high of 26 by mid-afternoon before easing to 25 this evening. UV index sits at 7, and wind remains modest, maxing at 14 kilometers per hour from the west. No weather alerts are active. With the sky remaining open, we now turn to the 5-day outlook. Saturday repeats today's pattern with a clear sky and a high of 26, low falling to 15 as the high-pressure ridge persists. Sunday warms slightly, reaching 27 at peak while lows climb to 17, still under the same dry airstream. Monday, the first sign of moisture arrives. Cloud cover thickens and temperatures rise to 28 with a low of 20, marking the start of a brief overcast spell. Tuesday pushes the heat further, topping at 32 and dipping to 20, though a 24% chance of rain hints at scattered showers as the jet nudges northward. Wednesday snaps back to clear skies, cooling to 28 high and 20 low, completing a week of modest swings between dry warmth and a single cloudy intrusion. And that's your weather. Remember, the lunch break is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll check traffic snarls on Highway 40, preview the Canucks trade news, and spotlight Mylan's Bean and Bloom Cafe. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
All major routes are moving freely this morning. Autoroute 6 runs clear in both directions, with travel times matching the posted schedule. Boulevard St. Laurent, Rue SHAI Arbrook and the Descaries Expressway report no slowdowns, and the southbound lanes of Autoroute 15 near the Descaries interchange are flowing at normal speed. The downtown core, including Rue St. Denis and Rue St. Paul, shows no congestion, and the bridge over the Latching Canal is open and unrestricted. Looking ahead, the typical post-lunch surge may begin around 1 o'clock, especially on the southbound stretch of Autoroute 15 toward the South Shore. Construction crews are slated to start pavement work on Rue Notre Dame between St. Catherine and St. Laurent later this afternoon, which could add a few minutes of delay. Expect a modest increase in traffic on the eastern sections of Autoroute 10 as commuters head home. Keep an eye on those corridors if you're planning a later departure.
Cirque du Soleil's Echo exhibition is lighting up Time Out Market downtown, where you can wander a photo showcase of unseen backstage moments and feel the pulse of the troupe's artistry. It's an exclusive behind-the-scenes look you won't find anywhere else. If you're hungry for flavor, Les Premier's Vendreddi's rolls back onto the streets, bringing Canada's largest street food festival with more than 40 trucks, live music, and cultural celebrations across the city this weekend. Best of all, admission is free, and the lineup showcases flavors from every corner of the globe. And when the rain taps on the windows, Time Out Market becomes the perfect shelter. Free kids activities, a taste of the Cirque exhibit, and a bustling food hall that turns a drizzly afternoon into a culinary adventure. Free admission and a playground of activities make it a go-to spot when clouds gather. Those three options keep Montreal buzzing, whether you're chasing spectacle, cravings, or a cozy escape. And now here's Jason with sports.
Here's the latest on Montreal's teams, from the ice to the pitch. Montreal's Canadiens have sent forward Brendan Gallagher to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for future considerations, reshaping the Habs' forward depth. The move, confirmed by CBC Sports NHL, marks a notable shift in both clubs' roster strategies as the season progresses. Montreal's Roses have bolstered their squad by signing international forwards Marie-Yasmin Aladou and Yves Perisset, according to CBC Sports Soccer. The dual acquisitions signal an aggressive push in the Northern Super League, adding experience and flair to the club's attacking options. Evelyn Badu delivered a hat-trick as the Montreal Roses routed Vancouver Rise 5-1 in Saturday's Northern Super League clash, per CBC Sports Soccer. The dominant performance underscores the Roses' offensive firepower and puts them in a strong position heading into the next round of competition.
Bean and Bloom in Myland has opened its doors, bringing a specialty coffee experience to the neighborhood. The shop serves locally roasted beans sourced sustainably, supporting nearby farms and reducing carbon footprint, and its airy space doubles as a hub for artists, freelancers, and anyone craving a creative break. Owner Alex Dubois, a former barista-turned-entrepreneur, wanted a place where coffee and art could grow side by side. Every week the team hosts open mic nights, pop-up galleries, and coffee brewing workshops, turning a caffeine stop into a cultural calendar. For residents, it means a gathering spot where conversation flows as smoothly as the espresso. In a city that thrives on community and craft, Bean and Bloom feels like living room for Montreal's creative spirit. Stay tuned for a look at Bean and Bloom, the new specialty coffee haven opening in Myland to brighten your day.
Coming up tonight at 6, the local sunset. Your neighborhood, your city, your news. From city hall decisions to the stories happening right on your street, we cover what matters most to Montrealers. Join us tonight at 6 p.m. on GMna for the local sunset, Montreal's evening newscast.
The Montreal International Portugal Festival lights up Cartay Portuguese, turning the Mission Santa Cruz streets into a lively celebration of music, food, and tradition. We're sending Carl Dumont to the heart of the festivities. Local artisans showcase tiles while folk bands fill the air with fado and samba rhythms. Carl Dumont is there, Carl Dumont.
Thanks CJ Waterhouse. I'm standing on the cobblestone plaza of Cartay Portuguese, Mission Santa Cruz, and the air is alive with the scent of grilled sardines and pastel de nata. Colorful banners flutter above a bustling market where artisans display hand-woven linens, azulejo tiles, and copper cookware. Families gather around a large stage where a fado singer's voice trembles against the rhythm of a modern drum line, while children chase bubbles near a pop-up soccer pitch painted in the green and red of Portugal. Traditional drums pulse alongside the laughter of locals, turning the street into a living soundtrack. The smell of caldo verde wafts from a nearby food truck, and a group of seniors share stories of the old country over glasses of vinho verde. Throughout the 3 days, the festival weaves together generations, reminding us that cultural roots grow stronger when shared. It's a celebration that turns our neighborhood into a living postcard of Portugal, right here in Montreal. Carl Dumont, virtually at Cartay Portuguese.
Inside the bustling Palais de Congrès, the scent of fresh popcorn mingles with the buzz of dozens of panels, and a sea of vibrant costumes winds through the corridors. Fans of every age, from toddlers clutching their first superhero badge to seasoned collectors polishing rare figurines, filled every seat, pushing the doors open to a record-breaking crowd of more than 67,000. Among them, local artist Maya Bushar, whose hand-drawn comics line the walls, paused to sign a sketch for a shy 12-year-old who had traveled from the West Island to meet her. The hallway glowed with neon lights and the soft hum of laughter as strangers exchanged stories over shared fandoms, turning the convention into a living mural of community spirit. When the final panel wrapped and the lights dimmed, the palpable sense of belonging lingered, a reminder that Montreal's love for pop culture isn't just a hobby, it's a bridge that brings us together. And as crowds streamed out onto St. Catherine Street, city's skyline seemed to echo excitement, a reminder that spirit of convention lives on beyond doors. Moments like these are why we celebrate our city's vibrant heart.
On a crisp early summer afternoon in downtown Montreal, just beyond the stone arches of the McGill campus, the National Bank open grounds are already buzzing. The smell of fresh pine from the newly laid courts mingles with the scent of coffee from nearby cafes, while fans in maple leaf scarves file past the iconic Montreal skyline, clutching programs that list 71 of the 72 highest-ranked men's players. Among them, world number 1 Carlos Alcaraz and the electrifying Felix Auger-Aliassime practice their serves, their rhythmic thumps echoing across the park. A local 8-year-old, notebook in hand, watches from the sidelines, eyes wide as he receives a signed racket from a coach who paused to chat about the simple joy of a clean backhand. The moment the first ball is struck under the bright Quebec sun, the city feels a collective inhale, a reminder that world-class sport can sit beside daily life, inspiring the next generation. It's a quiet affirmation that Montreal's doors are always open to moments that bring us together. That feeling lingers long after the final serve.
Thanks for joining us, Montreal. Tonight's look at the artists painting murals under the highway reminded us how creativity can reshape our streets. Stay safe, keep the conversation going, and tune in tomorrow for more stories that matter to our city. We'll also follow the mayor's latest decision on the Lachine Marina and what it means for our waterfront.